Poppy's just so strong, and Galio is something that just opens up NIP's playstyle. Again, these macro-oriented things. Now that the Rise is off the board, it's really just Taliyah that's left up that continues to be a bit of a big piece. Maybe the Twisted Fate, if you really want to go in that direction. You know, we've seen some pluses and some minuses come from that champion. And so it really is just about comfort. You know, the Azir is also something I'm really curious to see if it's going to be prioritized in this series. It's going to be the Pantheon as the final ban alongside the Rakan and the Yone. Rakan really rising in priority later on in these Fearless drafts because of the lack of real answers to his playmaking tools. So makes a lot of sense. And as I talked about, you know, Azir, definitely one of the champions that I would consider to be highest priority available here. Something that Top Esports has been comfortable blind picking, and it is going to be slotted in here on B1.
One of Creme's specialties. The thing is, though, if Doinb and NIP are willing to ban away the Rakan, but not the Azir this time, you have to wonder, does Ninjas in Pyjamas have something prepared against what they would have already presumed to be an Azir first pick? Aurelia got some buffs, although I imagine this just being a hover. The Crocodile was banned in game number 1, could maybe take that away from 369, but the option instead will fall to a safe 80 carry for Leave in the Corki.
Yeah, it's something he can do damage on in the late game. That's really the checkbox that you got to make sure is there. He just needs to be in a position where he can carry in team fights. That's his strength as a player. I think Corki ends up filling that. We'll see how they want to build around the Corki. I think a lot of the obvious picks are kind of gone, but the Renekton very much still available. Solokill has actually played quite a lot of Renekton over the course of his like LDL career. None this split. I think this might actually be his first Renekton game of the split. Yes, it does look like that is the case.
It's such a prevalent pick in the meta. I'm surprised that that's actually the case.
Yeah, I am as well, to be honest, looking at this. But boy, what a classic matchup we get here with the Gnar as the answer to the Renekton. I feel like I'm in 2018 all over again, as we'll see how the top side ends up getting rounded out for TES. It just really feels like they want to try and stay to that consistent line. They want to make sure they have as many resources as possible to dump into their 2 carries in Creme and JackeyLove, whether that be through a facilitative jungle or perhaps just through a weak side top. We'll have to see. It will be the Skarner locked in, so definitely playing more for the duo carry here.
There are times where Kanavi looks great on this Skarner, other times where maybe he's better off on another champion. We'll just about see how he looks this time around, as he already has some strong soul laners to play around. Doinb locking into Taliyah, a pick that has also kind of fallen a little bit in priority. Going to be a nice matchup against both the Azir and the Skarner as we get into the second phase of this draft.
I think getting Taliyah on R3 is ridiculously good value. Alongside the Renekton, you're going to have a ton of priority and pressure early. Even Corki, generally a pretty good laner in the 2v2, somebody that can really generate some advantages. We wanted to, you know, see NIP feel comfortable trying to take the fight to Top Esports. We saw that a bit in game number 2, but this is really a draft that I think indexes into that a little bit more than maybe normal, especially with things like Azir and Gnar that are more team fight oriented on the other side. But the bans coming out, targeting the bot lane, of course, with those being left available for TES. It's going to be Misfortune and Renata taken off the board, and then TES don't want to see anything strong for Naiyou. They understand that, you know, Renekton's been picked up. That Nidalee looked pretty good in game number 5. You know, maybe there's going to be some other potential early game options. I could see a Lee Sin ban coming out here, but maybe even just ban out the Viego. It is kind of a specialty pick. I think both would be valid options. It's going to be the Vi, though. Definitely makes a lot of sense.
Champion like Lilia has some value here. It's one of Naiyou's specialties as well. Has a good matchup into the Skarner, as a lot of different options here. They're looking for support and jungle most likely on NIP's side. Don't want to talk about that. We're going to just ignore it and talk about something else. The Rel, another one of those engaged champions that has not been locked in yet, and so it provides a very nice snap engage here for NIP.
Gotta have consistent engage. Corki Rel is one of the more consistent 2v2 bot lanes as well, especially going into an engage support, which you are likely to see on the other side, depending obviously on the direction that TES want to round their comp out with. But with things like Leona still available, it would make a lot of sense to prioritize that before it's gone going into the next game. So it is going to be that Leona locked in, and really it's just going to show us how they want to round out this comp. Do they want to go for something like a Jhin that's maybe a bit more passive in the AD carry role, or are they willing to invest into a second carry? You know, perhaps you know, something more aggressive. You know, not quite the Kai'Sa from earlier, but it will be the Jhin that is locked in. Makes sense with the Azir. We've seen this combo a lot.
I was going to say some more damage for TES would have been nice. You know, something like the Ezreal was being hovered here by JackeyLove also would have provided some more safety, but just a nice front-to-back composition that'll scale well into the late-game team fights. And Naiyou locked in for Naiyou. Gonna pick that was very, very popular at the start of split number 2, and Naiyou was a big player on this one. So was Kanavi, so it's a small takeaway from him as well. Have a good time to farm against this Skarner, and will be a big carry alongside Doinb's Talia.
Yeah, what that Naiyou really does is lock in your playstyle here. NIP are not worried about scaling. This is really the first time where it's like, I don't really, I like Corki and Naiyou going into the late game, but you're looking at Naiyou, Talia, power spiking around that mid game and utilizing the macro advantage that Doinb is so good at generating to be able to fight alongside the Renekton. Now, on the other side of this matchup, of course, you have so much scaling. You're looking at Azir, you're looking at Gnar, even Jin's going to be valuable in the late game with Skarner and Leona as primary forms of setup. This is a game where NIP, oh, I was waiting for the swap. Am I being pranked?
What just happened?
Visual bug or
I'm gonna wait because are we gonna get a Azir top lane? Gnar mid? No way, right?
There's no
LPL world. That's what NIP are gonna try to accomplish here, but top esports want to make sure that their dominance continues from the regular season. We're on to the Rift for game number 3. Great to see some support from both teams as we are in Shenzhen, the home of Ninjas in Pyjamas. Yeah, a good amount of fans there in that arena as we're getting late into the night here in China. Early into the morning as, you know, Kman, if this series goes 5 games, it's going to be the afternoon by the time we log off here for the night. Not something I want to think about right now, but instead the League of Legends game that we have in front of us.
It's 24/7, Graves. The LPL consumes all, and we are seeing that here with the level 1 invade. Doinb. Rest of NIP posturing heavily. They could be getting pincered.
And you already saw Leave doing a nice job to force some members back with the Gatling gun to start off this early stage of the level 1. A late invade in for NIP as they have 4 members positioned in the blue side jungle. This top esports looking to try to pressure them away and at least get a ward on that Raptor pip. And Naiyou's still hunting, still looking maybe for some sort of steal. Kanavi should be able to smite this one away, but Kanavi going to be able to get a couple of these chickens back. It's not enough, though, to prevent level 2 going over to the Skarner.
Yeah, this is a huge win for Kanavi. Once again, it's Naiyou being set behind on his clear, this time due to a level 1 that he initiates, and it's not really ideal for the Naiyou to just be standing there watching Skarner start the clear. You don't really want to be getting behind. This NIP draft really needs to generate pressure early. To lose that tempo quickly is certainly not good, as we see some of the win rates flashing across the screen. 3-1 for Creme, I think, is the one that really stands out for me. This has been a big signature pick of his throughout his entire career, and we'll see if he can make the most of it as level 2 is hit.
Landing the stun and the crash down here onto Hong. He pops the Aegis to make sure that he's nice and healthy and able to tank up a lot of the damage that Leave and Niket were able to throw at him. No summoner spells burned by top esports just yet. But NIP still looking aggressive. They find another stun here onto Hong, but there's not a ton of follow-up at this point.
Hard for Corki to really punish in terms of these setups, but still a nice look, definitely pressuring out. The Jhin and Leona is going to be important. Corki should have a pretty easy time in this laning phase in terms of pressuring it out. The Jhin doesn't really have a lot of ways to actually trade back, and the Leona, of course, not known for her 2v2 prowess, but Niket definitely looking confident on that Rel. One of his big picks over the course of this split, one of his most played on that Rel at 4-2. So exciting to see if he's going to be able to get himself involved as we get more trading happening everywhere and some of the most equal lane phases we've seen so far.
Now, this is the first game where we haven't seen an early invade from somebody like Naiyou. As hold on, Doinb chunked to about 100. Doesn't have to flash just yet. Takes one more auto, then has to use the summoner spell as Creme finally has run out of mana, but a couple of minions getting hit under the turret as it allows for Kanavi to look for a small invade onto Naiyou. Both junglers at still level 3. They both skipped camps to get to that early part of the topside river, but still going to be Kanavi getting that positioning around the Scuttle Crab first.
Yeah, I mean, Kanavi's obviously in a great spot here in terms of the setup. Not only is Naiyou very far behind, but it's going to be difficult for Naiyou to catch up in this particular instance. Actually, he's actually in a pretty good spot clearing out the camps. I expected Kanavi to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of playing towards this bot side because of the pressure that JackeyLove had established, but just wants to go back and clear the bot side once more. And really everything returns to equality on the map here, as basically every single lane is, you know, staring at each other, looking to try and find an advantage. This definitely favors TES, but with those grubs spawning in just over 3 minutes, and then Dragon in just under a minute, we are definitely going to be getting some more actions here.
Now we'll see where NIP specifically want to try and utilize Naiyou on this Naafiri, a great dueler in the early game, especially if he's able to get some farm, some items under his belt. Looking again towards the bottom lane, at least for now. Kanavi's waiting for level 6. That's what we always know the Skarner wants to do. And so he's headed back after completing the full clear eventually on down towards his bottom side. And then we'll redeploy to other areas of the map. But I feel like, Kman, we're going to get a bit of a quieter early game this time around. Just given the compositions that we have, we're really waiting for some ultimate spikes, and maybe the grubs is where we see some first action.
I mean, we say that, but Creme continuing to just trade on top of this Taliyah. This could become a bit of a problem for Doinb. Remember, a lot of this comp predicates on the fact that Taliyah can shove and roam and move around with the Naafiri to create advantages with that, you know, ultimate, with the macro lead. Creme's just going to be able to keep pushing and keep chunking out Doinb in this lane. That's going to be a bit of a problem. I usually consider this lane very Taliyah favored, so certainly not ideal to start it off like this.
Yeah, again, we talked about the laning phase for Creme being a big strength of his just throughout the season, but especially against a player like Doinb, who loves to push roam and kind of ignore the waves in the mid lane from time to time. And he's definitely done that at this point, resulting in an ultimate advantage already in favor of the Azir. Creme's going to get a really nice back off right as he will be able to redeploy before eventual fighting around either the grubs or that first dragon. Doinb, again, pushed significantly far behind at this point of the game, and we'll see how much of an impact that continues to have over this series. Clearly, it was remedied a little bit by Doinb playing the Rise in game number 2, but on a champion maybe he's not as comfortable on. We'll see.
Yeah, he's got to be able to rebound. Again, I can't stress enough just how relevant the Taliyah is to this game state as a whole. Is going to be looking potentially to at least get control over the river here with Dragon having spawned. He has hit that level 6. If a fight does break out, he could potentially cause some chaos in that department. But right now, it just looks like it could be Dragon that is the priority. There is a ward in the pit that they're going to have to clear out. But 4 members here on the bottom side for NIP. It's likely, at the very least, going to be pressure going this way.
The game so close at this point comes down to the first one of these fights that really could decide how the rest of the early to mid game is played and how much of an impact that can have on the rest of things. As we say that, Niket and Leave taking a brunt of damage, already a heal pop by Niket and a flash. Very aggressive usage of that, or maybe passive usage of that summoner spell. Niket just did not want to get locked down knowing that Kanavi was in the area.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to get scared off by the Skarner. No level 6 yet on the Skarner, though. Definitely not the scariest in terms of the engage, as we see 369 trading well with Solokill on the top side, who will pretty easily be able to pick up some of these waves under tower. The real concern, well, as the back gets stopped, the real concern now for NIP is just how much can they get once they hit level 6? Have they set up the map enough? Now that they're in a spot, Leave Valkyrieing back, dragging the Leona with him.
Been a little bit scary given that Niket just went back to base at that point, but it seems like everybody just resetting and actually not even fighting for the grubs at this point as we're getting close to that 8-minute mark. We're just seeing redeployments back down to the top side here for Solokill. We're now seeing Niket roam up towards the top side after taking that reset. This will give NIP early positioning, assuming Solokill is able to get this wave in.
And that's what this was all for. It was all for the setup for these grubs, which have spawned. We will have to see how much priority is going to go in both directions. As you noted, both AD carries still on the bot side of the map. So definitely intriguing to see how much you want to put into it. Naiyou just going to go over the wall and is going to start these up. Kanavi is in the area, though. And IP is going to be
Niket
first.
Not level 6 just yet. That would have been a big spike here for the Rel, but Hong doesn't have one either. The first grub stolen away by Naiyou, but here comes Kanavi and Creme. Meanwhile, some fighting on the top side as Doinb and NIP look like they want to collapse onto the exhausted Gnar instead. A flash already from 369, as it is another grub secured by TES. They should be able to get the second one as well, as the collapse on the top side does end up working out here for Top Esports.
Yeah, they want to go for the greedy play rather than the extra greedy play, which is to try and full engage at the grubs. They want to try and pick off that Nard, but 369 doing a good job of dodging out overall it ends up just being an okay trade. But when you look at this comp for NIP, you don't really want to see okay trades in the early game here. You don't really want to see Naiyou feeling uncomfortable to go for these big fights. Even when you start getting to that second item power spike, things start getting very dangerous front to back. For this Azir and Jhin comp, things can get out of control pretty quickly. So I definitely want to see, you know, the foot on the gas, but that was the Weaver's Wall used. We'll see exactly where they want to put the rest of the resources.
Yeah, it's a big cooldown that Doinb, you know, wants to use very often on this Taliyah pick, right? This is the big value of this champion. You burned a flash off at 369. We'll see if Solokill is going to be able to capitalize on it. Maybe when the ultimate comes back up, Naiyou rotating back to his topside camps. Could be an opportunity here for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but overall the game staying very even, very quiet, at least for now. But as I say that, in comes Kanavi, but he's matched by Naiyou here to make sure that neither jungler are able to really find much.
It's really tough when the game state is neutralized like this to find ways to break it open, but NIP certainly are looking to try as they chase Hong out of the river. Dragon still on the map, has not yet been taken. Creme gonna be the
seismic
target.
shove lands onto Creme. He didn't think he had to flash away from that one, and actually will survive without utilizing a single summoner spell, but he is rather low on mana, and now half HP. Could be out of position for a potential skirmish around the dragon, which is started up now by Naiyou.
This is a good grab for NIP if they can start it up. He is gonna dodge out of some of the CC, but the heals popped. They're looking for him.
Notably, Hong, it's 10.5 minutes, and this Leona does not have the Solar Flare yet. That could be impactful here for a fight, as Niket Hex flashes away. Ixtal's impact forward from Kanavi is not able to find a knock-up, and now the Skarner's at half HP. There's the Magnet Storm, and Kanavi's forced to flash away, but the Dragon is still at 3,000 HP. Neither top laner can join the fight, so it'll be a 4v4 with the battle lines drawn. Leave looking to poke here with his rockets as the Dragon is taken low. In they go. It is taken here by the red side. Naiyou secures it, but a two-man impale is canceled by the death of Kanavi. In goes Naiyou. He gets himself a kill. All four members live until finally Niket will drop it. Hong is caught underneath the Dragon pit. Will not find the kill until Leave will pick him up. And now the Corki is chasing down JackeyLove. He's forced to flash away. And NIP win the fight around the Dragon.
It's a massive fight win. They really needed to be able to pick that one up, and it's played beautifully by Ninjas in Pyjamas to be able to create the opportunity. Honestly, I wasn't quite sure that play was going to work out. They burned the Rel ultimate very early on in that fight, but Leave's positioning is fantastic. He's peppering them with rockets throughout the entire fight before that even really starts. And then once the smite goes down onto Naiyou, they just end up having, you know, just enough health. We do see the seismic shove coming in on Kanavi, but the smite does come down onto Naiyou. He is able to pick up that dragon, and then the moment Creme enters here and gets that ultimate off on the Azir, all of a sudden they've got more than enough damage to clean up. JackeyLove pulls back as much as he can, but with the flash over the wall coming in from Leave, all of a sudden the threat is down, and that burns quite a few summoners on the bottom side as well. JackeyLove has no flash. Same thing for Creme now, who also has no flash on the Azir. Same thing for Kanavi, who has no flash on the Skarner. So really, it's just one of those fights that ends up really, really nice for NIP, and they can keep capitalizing now.
500 gold lead, and most importantly, Kman, Naiyou getting on the board, picking up that Spear of Shojin at 12 minutes. Naafiri needs to get ahead early to try to snowball games for herself, and this is a very important breakpoint. Winning that dragon fight has put NIP in a phenomenal position, and again, the important thing to note there, 369 and Solokill both unable to join that fight, and while 369 has gotten the edge in terms of CS, was unable to help out his team around a fight that could have really broken the game open in top esports' favor if they want it.
Yeah, I don't want to panic too much for TES. I do want to, you know, pump the brakes on this idea that they're running away with the game. I think that it's very playable here for TES. They just need to make sure they don't make a mistake here.
There's now Naiyou with the kill, with the item, and to really exert his dominance wherever he stands. And right now, he is standing on a control ward owned by NIP in the enemy tri-brush on the bottom side. That is the area of the map now controlled here by Ninjas in Pyjamas, again, your Group Nirvana representatives. As Naiyou and Niket going to be the tag team duo that will look for plays across the rift. Hunting down Creme now at this point, has no flash. Could be a play. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. Very aggressive though. If they land to the shove, maybe an opportunity, but Doinb does not find it.
Yeah, it's a good look. You want to be looking for these proactive plays, even if they're not necessarily efficient. Not really a ton else to do on the map right now. If you're not utilizing that Taliyah and that Naafiri power spike, then you are wasting time as Creme. They get at least a little bit of poke damage down. But, you know, this game is far from over, as I stated earlier. I do think that there are plenty of ways for TES to come back, especially because the gold, while it's on Corki, which is the best case scenario here for NIP, is certainly not insurmountable. You're not looking at a gold lead that there's no way to recover from, and if you can play front to back with that 1k gold lead that Gnar has on the top side, Triforce completed, you know, things can still be rather scary. NIP can find another fight sometime in the mid game here that they can break wide open, whether that be around Rift Herald or perhaps that second dragon in a minute and a half. I think that's really going to be what they can seal the game with.
Gold lead's still very close at this point, but I feel like overall you really like where the gold is allocated on Ninjas in Pyjamas' side. Also Leave on the bottom lane, getting 2 kills in that exchange around the dragon, has a Trinity Force already stacking up the tier alongside Doinb, so gonna continuously get stronger and stronger as the game progresses. And hey, so far hasn't had to step mid lane yet, although as I say that, there he goes rotating around there with the Rift Herald about to spawn.
Yeah, and we do see Kanavi in the area. Gonna be a difficult dive to pull off here, but it looks like they're gonna go for it.
I mean, Mega Gnar is expiring. This is going to be very tough unless they go right now, and they're going to opt instead to play for the safer option, which is go for the Herald, and they will soon learn that it'll be worth it because Naiyou's on the bottom side. The question is, will it mean that Creme is in any significant danger? Nice buffer there with the Emperor's Divide, preventing that full call of the pack to come through, and that means that Top Esports will now have full control around the Rift Herald.
Yeah, they end up playing it really, really well, and the fight's being taken. Leave in danger. He's going to try and poke this out.
Teleport coming in. It looks like Ninjas in Pyjamas want to fight this, although they will not get a steal. Kanavi able to smite the Herald away, but in comes Solokill. Doinb gonna match at the teleport of his own. Oh, Impale lands onto 2 though, and already Niket forced the flash away, and Leave is down just like that. What can the solo laners do on the backside though, as Solokill has taken down JackeyLove. Hong is next to follow, and Doinb still lives. Creme goes forward, but he had to use the flash to get there. Naiyou flashes over the wall. He's now stuck in a 2v3 with Solokill, but he finds the stun. That's a triple kill in for the Croc. Solokill and Naiyou single-handedly winning the team fight for Ninjas in Pyjamas. 369 jumps forward, a bloodbath around the Rift Herald, and only the top laners remain. The stun, not gonna find anybody just yet. Solokill will go down. It's a double kill for 369, and a 5 for 4 overall.
A 5 for 4 in 15 minutes around Rift Herald. Could you ask for anything more in a game like this? A true bloodbath, but I think that's very much in favor of Top Esports, not just because of the gold that they end up acquiring, but because they end up getting it onto some key targets. Creme ends up picking up a kill there. All the gold ends up going onto Solokill, but look, they're going now on 369.
They want to try to save the tower. Nice 2-man Gnar from 369. Mission successful with the objective going down, popping the emote as well to let him know.
This is a massive Gnar. This will be a mega Gnar regardless of the form that 369 is in for the rest of the game. But we're going to get a replay on this fight. This looks really good as a setup for TES. This is a fantastic flash ult from Kanavi to be able to set basically everything up. Leave is dead before this fight even starts. Niket ends up following very shortly, but they do burn a lot of health bars. JackeyLove ends up trading his life to do so. Unfortunately for NIP, 369 is a little bit quicker on the Twitch, and he's able to get a lot of damage down onto some priority targets. The flash over the wall keeps Naiyou safe, and quite frankly, the back half of this fight is played perfectly from Solokill, who ends up being massive on the Renekton and really reaping the rewards, picking up a bunch of kills in this fight. But at the end of the day, it's 369 on the Gnar who ends up walking away, and both teams getting gold in some big places. The scaling on the side of TES makes me favor them in this exchange, but certainly not for, you know, nothing for NIP.
Yeah, both top laners feeling very good. However, one feeling maybe a little bit better than the other. It's seeing the gold right now. Despite 3 kills going into Solokill's hands, he's down 1,300 to the likes of 369 on this Gnar. You can see a third item coming soon, whether it's the Hullbreaker or the Sterix. Still going to be frightening nonetheless, as you now see Top Esports going in on a Doinb, and Impale will land, combined with a Deadly Flourish. An easy kill onto the Talia will result in Top Esports evening up the kill count at 7. Beautiful play from them so far. Another nice buffer from Creme to make sure that ultimate doesn't connect. That's going to be a fun interaction to watch for the remainder of this game.
Yeah, it looks like Creme's even just saving it for that specific interaction, which is pretty funny. As we see the Rift Herald now dropped into the mid lane, it's going to be targeted on this mid lane tier 1. They should be able to get this without relative trouble.
We'll see how much damage they have with just a Jhin at the AD carry position. Wave cleared out, but in comes 369. The crash down prevents the Gnar from landing onto Leave, but it'll still find Niket. Ixchal's impact lands. The redemption gonna heal him up a lot, buy a lot of time before JackeyLove eventually lands the final blow with the bouncing grenades. Unfortunately for NIP, they were not in a position to find anything else off of that play, so it is just a kill in the mid lane tower going down for free.
Graves, this is exactly what I was talking about. You can't count the game out for TES. They have so many tools to scale into the late game, and the problem for NIP is they don't really have a lot of those tools. The Corki, really the only one that can be efficient, but Kanavi just playing really aggro with his positioning. Fortunately, Doinb just walks into the enemy jungler, ends up getting ulted after the stun, and there goes the Taliyah. Even at this point, Hong playing really aggressive to zone Naiyou out, and even with the aggression coming in from the Naafiri, there's really no way to take advantage of this Azir at this point, who's very close to completing that second item. Once you start hitting those 2-item breakpoints, which the Gnar has already done, you're looking at a very scary front to back that top esports should be able to control.
And it's actually going to be a Black Cleaver, which not only helps 369, but also will make sure that Collector from JackeyLove does even more damage in terms of shredding the armor of the front line. You already see a plate of steel caps in the hands of Solokill specifically. Because you now have the Otacon spawned on the bottom side. Dragon not for another 2 minutes as it were evened at 1 apiece. And even though NIP again had a very good early game fight around that first Dragon, top esports have continued to find ways to stay alive in these games, and not only that, but actually be in advantageous positions.
Well, this is the thing we were talking about in Game 1 and Game 2, is just understanding your win conditions. It's all well and good to get these early leads, but you know, if you are a team that has correctly identified, like, hey, we're Azir, Skarner, Gnar, Jhin, like, we can play this front-to-back style. We don't have to feel pressured. You know, not forcing a lot of these plays to go your way early can definitely be to your benefit. You just get one of these small fights, get a little bit more gold, you know, can start to get in your favor. Otacon now spawned on the bottom side. Kanavi is here. So is Naiyou. We'll see if they want to potentially go for this with the Azir turnout.
See a reset coming through from Solokill. He actually just either burned his flash or is about to come up, whether the visual bug still exists or not, but he's actually just gonna reset now as in goes Hong. Kanavi though finds an Ixchal's back and a 3-man impale. Naiyou's able to get out with the invulnerability. Creme whiffs on the ultimate, and now top esports could be in some danger with Solokill approaching. He's looking for the flash away from Hong. As the curtain call's been opened up and Doinb going to get taken down, but he finds the seismic shove. Leaves still alive. He gets flourished, but he cleanses beautifully to keep himself alive. Solokill into the backline will take down Hong. JackeyLove goes down to Naiyou, and Ninjas in Pyjamas will be able to come back and win the fight.
I did not think NIP had a shot in that fight. It is a beautiful engage from Kanavi, but there's no damage to follow up. Creme completely whips the Azir ultimate. There's no damage coming out from him. JackeyLove is being forced to be the #1 primary damage dealer, and he's got rapid fire cannon as second item. It's just not enough to break through the front line. Eventually, NIP is going to be able to get on the backside.
Okay.
Otacon's going low. 369's here.
Smites it away. Question is, will they escape? Creme using a teleport, not realizing how quickly that Otacon was going to go down. So just a waste of that. Let's take another look at this fight.
Yeah, I mean, this looks so good for TES. This engage is as dreamy as it gets for any Skarner player, but look at where the damage is. Creme ends up dashing in, immediately getting stunned, flashes onto Leave, and misses the ultimate. But at this point, you have no damage. Your Azir is dead, and your Jhin has to go out to ult, and so there's no follow-up. Your support Hong is already so low health. 369 is only there to zone out Solokill, while JackeyLove can pick up quite a bit, and this is a beautiful Captain Jack coming in from Leave. It's still one of those fights where you have to perform a bit better on the side of TES. It's an execution diff, and it ends up in NIP's favor. Dragon, as we saw, going over to top esports, though, in live.
If Leave did not get caught by that, speaking of caught, Niket has been easily by the side of Kanavi as JackeyLove will pick up the first kill, but in goes Solokill. He's going to pick up the kill on to 369 before eventually dropping. Naiyou able to jump away. We still have Leave and Doinb at half HP. It's a 4v3 on the map. JackeyLove taken very low as Doinb and Leave going to now try to poke out top esports. It looks like the Dragon was secured by TES off of that play, but NIP at least able to get one back.
Yeah, it's definitely a chaotic way to come out of a replay, but a lot of gold going over to the side of NIP. That gold lead that TES had established, it's definitely shrinking, and a lot of the gold's on the right places. You have 4 kills on the Naafiri, you have 3 kills on the Corki as they both start to hit their second item, close to their third item, power spikes. You know, 1.5k gold lead about onto Naiyou. We're going to see exactly how this ended up starting. It's just Niket walking forward alongside the rest of NIP and just getting bursted down. Kanavi feeling aggressive enough to go in. He just raw ults Niket and he's just dead. The Magnet Storm does come down, but at that point it's way too late. And Solokill just 1v1ing the Gnar at this point on the back end. He's so close to being able to get another heal reset. If he does, that fight could look very, very different for Top Esports, but they are eventually able to take down the Crocodile. And 12-12, 25 minutes into the game, we've got a banger on our hands, Graves.
Hey, we got the bot laners as our featured matchup, but let's show some love to the top side of the map here as well. 369 and Solokill putting on a clinic here in this game at number 3. Both top laners, the focal points of these major team fights in this game that could make or break the series in the upper bracket quarterfinals. I mean, talking about Solokill, right? I mean, just not even on the starting roster for this team at the start of the split for NIP, getting an opportunity when Shanji was replaced, going up against one of the staples here in the LPL. And he struggled a little bit in their first game, but I mean, since then, has looked really good, both on the Yorick and then now on the Renekton. But now Niket might be caught out once more. Zenith Blade does connect, but he's bought enough time for the rest of his team to arrive. The Impale only landing onto the support, and it could mean that Hong gonna go down in a trade. So a 1-for-1 overall. You're gonna be happy about that if you're NIP, especially with the kill going to leave.
Yeah, it's an aggressive trade once again for TES. It's Kanavi staying active on the map, but if you're gonna do that, you gotta trade 1-for-1. You know his entire team is around, and so it just is one of those plays where if you feel like the gold is better in your hands, then maybe you go for it. It's just very risky. And again, you correctly highlighted it there, Grapes. The kill going over to leave. That's perfect for NIP. The more gold this Corki gets, the harder it is for Top Esports to play Doinb, though. My goodness.
I mean, I knew he wasn't like in real threat, but like you see the damage and you're like, hold on. Could that potentially be something? Ends up not being really the case, as Doinb will just go back to base. It does give Top Esports a nice opportunity to clear some vision on the top side of the map as NIP redeploys. But now we are looking at major objectives in 2 minutes. That Infernal Dragon would be very nice for Top Esports to pick up. But for now, the focus is the Baron, which Top Esports now have really good control over.
It's a really, really risky setup for both of these teams. You definitely don't want to get caught out. The next fight could be the one that determines the entire game as 369 just continues to absolutely punish Solokill in this side lane. He has been so strong throughout this game at being able to establish his tempo and forcing the team to react to him. He's going to do so once again as he shoves this wave into the tier 2 on the bot side. And that just really allows Top Esports to play even more aggressive, establishing this vision around Baron. Naiyou going to try to get some poke down, but we are looking at some items coming through. We do see the Seekers done for Azir. That's going to be pretty massive for this next fight alongside the Leandries as that second item. Redemption's available for both supports. It's really just going to come down to execution at this point. Top Esports, I think, are more consistent in the front to back, but if NIP can utilize their gold, they're going to be in a good spot.
Top Esports fans, remember what happened in Split 2. Things were looking so promising. Hey, they dropped some games here or there, but always coming up clutch in Game 3s. That didn't happen against some of the tougher opponents in the playoff bracket. A disappointing end, which ends up putting them in tough positioning unless they're able to perform well in this postseason bracket in terms of Worlds qualification. But TS think that they have the roster behind their superstar, their franchise player in JackeyLove. And they're going to look to maybe make a player on this Baron right now. Instead, just buying time for 369 to get another wave here under this bot lane tower, with Solokill always being forced to match, and he'll always be late as long as the priority remains in this way.
This is why Gnar has always been that eternal counter pick to Renekton. Is the side lane pressure that Gnar can generate, as well as being so consistent in the team fights, just makes it really difficult for Renekton to have any sort of pressure or any priority, despite the gold in the game. Like, Solokill is entirely on the back foot, in no part due to his gameplay. It's just the way that the interaction goes. And so credit to 369 for taking advantage of it, but the Infernal Dragon has spawned. This would be sole point for Top Esports. They are here first, but how much do NIP want to commit to this? This could be the fight that ends up deciding the game.
Weaver's wall in. Kanavi could be caught out. He gets stunned. He has to flash away already. He lands the Impale, but there's nobody to drag him back to. A huge pick by Ninjas in Pyjamas off the back of Doinb's Weaver's wall. Allows for them to even up the dragon count and find themselves pressure on Summoner's Rift.
It's not just the dragon. They're moving their way up. Baron is on the table, and Kanavi is dead for 30 seconds. The dance is absolutely going to take place. How much can Top Esports avoid disaster?
What a find by Group Nirvana representatives, Ninjas in Pyjamas. They're looking for another kill onto Hong. Gets the blast cone away. JackeyLove dodging away from that seismic shove. Now Doinb has His shield procced on the Archangels, and so NIP will not be able to go for the Baron. Instead, they will turn their sights towards a reset and be able to try to get some of that gold back into their carry's hands.
Still a massive turnaround here for NIP. They continue to put themselves in better and better spots. It really is an execution dip right now. Kanavi just overextended. We're going to see this in the replay. They want to establish themselves around this dragon, but they don't respect the fact that the Weaver's Wall could come in. They're not clumping up in the way that you need to against a Taliyah, and Kanavi is just left on an island by himself. He ends up falling to Naiyou, and at this point, the dragon is gone. The soul stacking is gone. And that's a big mistake that really puts TES in a kind of tough spot, because that soul was a really big win condition for them.
And that's the difference of having somebody like Doinb on your team. He might not have the hands, he might fall down 20, 30 CS in the laning phase, but he's able to make decisions like that with the semi-global ultimates, utilizing the tools that he creates in the draft to find picks and to find advantages for his team. And that was a big pick that prevented the game from really being broken open on top Esports' side. NIP still very much in this one. And now Baron again, the only objective left up. Neither team really wants to start this one, Kman, but they definitely want to make sure the other team does not start it as well.
Yeah, you don't want to be giving over Baron for free. We've already seen how that can go in this series as another Weaver's Wall's coming out.
Wall. This time, only a little bit chip damage onto Kanavi, and now the Solar Flare lands onto Taliyah, forced to go golden, and that makes sure that the Impale doesn't connect, but Niket's already taken very low. The Redemption used, and the Curtain Call has been opened up. Creme with a massive flank, looking potentially to find a pick onto the NIP mid laner, already chunking out Doinb, chunking out Solokill, waiting for 369, but Leave will Valk right towards him, and force the Gnar to back away.
This is such a tense fight. Graves says Naiyou's going in. Oh, he's going to be able to back out. This is very, very back and forth. It gets very, very tumultuous at multiple points. They're still posturing. All ultimates could be available. Creme still has the shuffle. Leave has all of his rockets. Solokill, Naiyou, all of these ultimates are still on the table. The dance will continue around this spot. But you know who it really comes down to? It's Creme on this Azir. He's got the gold lead for top esports. If he can find a way in, that could be huge for TES's chances. Here we go.
Flash ulti divide all up alongside that hourglass for Creme. The deadly flourish lands on Niket, but there's no follow-up right now for top esports. All 10 members of this game around the topside river, because this Baron will make or break this game, could make or break this series, and it's TES that are once again returning to it.
Continue to just dance and posture. They want to make sure they have the vision coverage.
Doinb.
They're trying to catch Doinb.
Oh, that Impale was up in 2 seconds for Kanavi. If maybe he found it a little bit later.
They're starting in.
An opportunity to attack Doinb, who is without flash and without that Seekers himself. The Baron's been started up by top esports, but Naiyou is in the area, has his flash, has his ultimate, has his smite, the most important part. Niket with the 2-man Magnus Storm, finds the stun, but immediately JackeyLove's going to be able to take him down. Solokill with the Sterix will keep himself alive. Solokill will finally drop, but in goes Leave. He'll take down Kanavi, and Naiyou's able to burst down Creme as well. In they go on to JackeyLove. The Curtain Call canceled, and Naiyou forced to go invulnerable. 369 approaching mini-Gnar form. The health bar still on top esports' side, but it's a 3-for-3 and the Baron still stands.
Oh my goodness, Graves. It is so back and forth. There are so many things on the line. This could be the whole series, and we see that, we feel that in the effect that these two teams are playing with right now. A teleport coming in, as we do just see more pressure coming around. It's just going to be that spellbook Rel. But did anything change after that fight? Was it all for naught? Let's get a replay of exactly what happened. Niket's going to be the first to go in with the ultimate, but you know that if you're the first to engage in this fight, it's going to be tough. Solokill does a fantastic job getting onto Creme in the backline, but it's a stopwatch that ends up really pushing him down and keeping him away from that execution. It forces more resources to be put into the Azir, and once all the damage is burned at this point, really, it's just, can JackeyLove continue to push forward? Naiyou going to utilize that flash to get himself out of there, but boy, is it a knife's edge. Like, it is so, so close. And Dragon's now on the map, and this is soul point for both.
Yeah, resets came through for NIP a little bit later than tops, which meant that now the objective and control around the river belongs to your #1 seed. They're going to be able to secure this one, get themselves Infernal Soul Point. Would have been the soul if NIP didn't get the last one. And now Hong's looking for a pick. Deadly Flourish on top of the Solar Flare, only finding Niket. And in that dismounted form, still in a very dangerous spot, he's able to finally reproc the W with Naiyou forcing NIP in a very scary situation. The Baron now available. They know that Niket likely wants to take a reset, but they will not pull the Baron.
Yeah, this is such a tense situation. Baron really the only thing on the map to worry about right now. But it's sole point for top esports. They're in no rush right now. If they can continue to pressure and establish themselves, this comp is so scary, just getting more and more and more gold. They're going to continue to become harder and harder to deal with as this game goes along. And if you give them Infernal Soul, all of a sudden this goes from a game that's in favor or at the very least in control of NIP to very much out of control very quickly. So the knife's edge continues to get sharper and sharper for both of these teams.
You can see, though, top esports always able to have that advantage just in terms of, the amount of pressure that they have across the map. And you can take a look in terms of the turret count. They just have the ability to rotate better than NIP does at this current point. NIP do not have a tower yet in this game, and it really handcuffs their ability to rotate around the map. As you can see now, forced to go back to the Baron Nashor. Poking here is Doinb and Leave. Naiyou jumping forward. They find a stun to Kanavi. That is the Impale down. A big cooldown that NIP should try to take advantage of here.
Yeah, they absolutely need to. 369.
He's been caught. Oh, seismic shove lands on a 369. Fox hysterics. But now in goes Naiyou. The Impale will send him forward. The H-Cell's impact gonna be able to take him down. Jungler for NIP out of the picture, and so's the support. Curtain call opened up here for JackeyLove, just forcing NIP to back away as top esports gain control and should control the Baron at 35 minutes.
It's massive for top esports. We've been talking about the knife's edge. We've been talking about the pendulum swinging. Well, top just put their statement into the bank, and JackeyLove is not done. He's looking for the rest of this team. Baron has been acquired, but the real hero is unfortunately Naiyou diving in. He just doesn't have enough damage on the Neferi to actually take down the Gnar. 369 once again coming up clutch. And now with the Baron buff, they're going to look to siege down this top lane tier 2.
Hysterics OP. And the Gnar able to survive because of that shield specifically. And now the tower lead will grow with Baron buff in the hands of top esports. It's been a grueling back and forth contest, but it looks like your representatives from Group Ascend are in a strong position after this one.
This is such a chaotic start to the fight. Kanavi starts by whiffing ultimate. Not a great way to start if you're a Skarner player. You definitely want to kind of rethink that. But 369 steps up so far on this Gnar, and he gets bursted down so much. And unfortunately, at this point, Naiyou is just so committed. He ends up ulting into 5. And there's just no way. There's too much health coming out on 369. The Hysterics, of course, being really beneficial in that regard. But the Rockets aren't going to be enough to secure the kill, and especially with the front line. Can't really break through. TES now, full advantage. How are they going to pressure it right now? They just want to push in that bot wave.
Gold lead of 5K, 4 items on every single carry on top of esports. Even Kanavi's got himself a Knight's Vow to make sure that everybody on his team is able to stay nice and healthy. As NIP running out of options right now in this game 3. It's going to have to be up to Leave on this Corki. Still in a good position to fight. Naiyou starting to fall off a little bit because the front line has really grown on TES's side. They're wearing purple for another 85 seconds, and they're going to try to collapse upon this mid lane tier 3 with Creme, as well as the bot lane tier 2 with the rest of them.
They need to play safe here, Naiyou.
Oh, look at the Impale onto 3. But here comes the collapse from Doinb. In with the Weaver's Wall a little bit sooner. But JackeyLove's got the first kill onto Solokill. And Creme in with the Emperor's Divide. Just an exclamation point on a disastrous team fight for Ninjas in Pyjamas. A quadra kill with the deadly flourish of JackeyLove will send your #1 seed to match point.
Kanavi impales a stake through the hearts of Ninjas in Pyjamas, and JackeyLove is there to pick up the remains. They are breaking down the base, they are breaking down the towers, and top esports are doing what they should have done all along. Pick up a much-needed victory here and send us to a Game 4 against Ninjas in Pyjamas.
11-2-8 on JackeyLove. He was a big factor in that last fight specifically. A quadra kill to wrap up that game. And for NIP, hey, they had their backs against the wall at that point. They knew that as soon as the Baron buff expired, if they didn't go for something, it would be Soul, and that would just turn from bad to worse. They tried to make a play. They had the numbers advantage momentarily, but it just was not enough, as top esports just were too strong at that point in the game.
Really, I mean, it all comes down to, you know, NIP had an idea for what they wanted this draft to be. They said they wanted to establish pressure early, but they didn't have the scaling, they didn't have the comp, and you make one mistake, one small error down the stretch in a game like that. You go a little too far forward on a dive if you're the jungler, you don't find the engage you're looking for, you can't break down 369, whatever it is, that just ends up being the game-shattering mistake. The dance around Baron was so intricate because one wrong move costs everything, and that's unfortunately the reality here for NIP.
And again, we love the fight, we love the amount of you know, perseverance that this NIP roster has put together so far in this series against, again, the team that won the most games straight up in the regular season of Split 3. But Top Esports able to hold strong, and they now are one game away from advancing into the upper semis and having themselves a matchup with Weibo Gaming. NIP, man, they were making these fights close, and a lot of it came off the back of Doinb. Again, Leave had a great game as well. Solokill being the big difference maker in some of those fights. But NIP got outscaled a little bit, it seems. Gnar, Skarner, Leona, just too tanky for NIP to handle at the end of it.
It's so sad, Grapes. They played so well. They did so many good things throughout this game. So many strong plays. I think Doinb utilized the Weaver's walls, especially in the back half of the game, really well. I think Naiyou, his early game was excellent on this Naafiri, really utilizing that mid-game advantage. You have the, you know, Solokill having the best game that he had all series long, and it just didn't matter. Leaf did 43,000 damage, but the gold graph, I think, says a lot, and I think 369's damage number says a lot for me as well. 40,000 on the Gnar. That side laning was so important, constantly taking so many resources away, and eventually creating a spot where TES just owned the map.
Yeah, 369 on this Gnar. I mean, we saw the impact that he had in the side lanes, right? And that turned into even more in the team fights, but to me, the MVP was Kanavi on this Skarner, man. I mean, he got caught out a couple of times. That resulted in the game getting extended, but it was just a number of super impactful ultimates that resulted in Top Esports being set up for success in a lot of these big fights.
You say what you will about Kanavi in this game, he certainly kept looking for plays. He was never scared to go in and try to find a 3 or a 4-man ult, regardless of whether his team was with him or not. He was definitely going to be looking, and you know what? That's the kind of mentality, those are the kinds of plays that win you the LPL, is you have to be willing to look for everything. You have to be willing to say, you know, I can make this work. I trust in my team to be able to make this work. And the engages, the ults he was able to find multiple times throughout this series. You can pinpoint multiple 3, 4-man Skarner ultimates that just completely break open fights. This is one of them right here. 3-man Skarner ultimate that just completely breaks open everything. Unfortunately, Creme not quite able to follow up, but you're absolutely right. I think Kanavi's player of the game, and I think he really ended up kind of pushing TES forward here.
As I say that, 369 had himself a pretty good one as well, now that I think about it. So maybe it goes to him instead, but oh geez. It's been a really entertaining series, to say the least, here between these two teams. I'm glad the NIP are putting up a fight. Really, any of these like kind of lower tier LPL teams going into the playoff bracket, the fact that they're able to play these competitive series means that we're in for a hell of a postseason over the next 2 weeks and change. As again, just team fight after team fight here. Kanavi this time getting caught out. This was a big win where we thought maybe NIP were able to take control, but not so fast, says 369, says Creme here in this game. I mean, overall, it was a really back and forth one that ends up just barely going in the hands of TES.
I mean, this fight is so chaotic, it's actually insane. Leave and JackeyLove both pumping out so much damage. Solokill getting on the backline. Naiyou surviving until the end because of perfect use of invulnerability. This fight looked so good for NIP, but again, it just comes down to, can you kill 369? And you can't. Kanavi was brilliant in this fight. 369 was brilliant in this fight, and just ends up completely turning against NIP, even when they want to look again onto JackeyLove, when they want to get onto the AD carry. Who is it that comes up clutch? It's Kanavi with the 3-man impale to absolutely shatter any hopes for NIP to get back into this game. And you just have to give a lot of credit to TES. You know, you can talk about the bad plays that they made for sure, but the good ones were really, really good. And I think that's the encouraging thing. It's okay to have, you know, moments that are up and down every once in a while. If you can make superstar plays like that, you're going to be just fine.
And so far, it has allowed for TES to get themselves, of course, to just in a position where they're one game away from winning this series and at least putting themselves in a solid position and probably prime positioning to get themselves into at least the Worlds qualifying bracket when we get to the end of the year itself. As for NIP, again, they need a little bit of help, and they need to perform pretty well in this playoff bracket to have a chance to get to Worlds, which is, of course, their ultimate goal. And right now, it's looking a little grim, but still a lot of game left to be played. They are going to be on the blue side here for game number 4, and it worked pretty well for them last time around. And then in a game 5, who knows what could happen. So we're waiting our player of the game here in game number 3 of this series. Again,